Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. My name is Doug DiVirgilio. I am a Minnesota SCORE mentor and a member of the Minnesota Education Committee. And welcome to our webinar, Can Writing a Book Boost Your Business? Now, before I turn it over to Diane, we do want to share some information on SCORE with you. But I also want to make sure everyone knows, and I know I'll get questions about this, that you're all going to get a copy of the recording and the slides after the presentation. So you will receive those. So SCORE is a nationwide organization that is affiliated with the Small Business Administration independently. There are over 300 chapters. There's information available for you 24/7 on online resources. There are 10,000 national volunteers. Now here in Minnesota, which is Sarasota and Manatee counties largely, we have 90 volunteers, and they're from every business background. So we can match you with a mentor that has a background that would be in the business area you're interested in. And our chapter has recently been recognized as District Chapter of the Year. Now, how can we help you? Well, there's many ways we can help you. In the pre-startup phase, there's a lot of work to be done in business planning, research, looking at your niche, determining your marketing, all those areas. We have lots of resources and mentors who can work with you. The startup phase also can be very challenging. Opening the business, making sure you have the cash available, you planned that all out, and getting off to a good start. Growing a business, believe it or not, I've seen businesses fail because they were growing too fast. They didn't plan for that. They weren't able to manage it. We can help with that. Or buying, selling, or closing a business. So there's many, many ways a SCORE mentor can help you. And I encourage you to go to our website and obtain a mentor. So here's how you request a mentor. Visit score.org/Minnesota. You can see the mentor profiles. You can request a mentor. There's also a ton of information on the website. There are webinars. We also have a YouTube site where our previous webinars are. You can see what's upcoming. There's spreadsheets and all kinds of information for you. Depending on what you're looking for, you browse through it and find it. And again, lots of good information. I encourage you to visit the website. We want to thank our sponsors. Without them, we would not be able to do what we do. Here's a list, and we are very thankful for what they do to help us serve you. So we're offering what would be very costly services to our mentors in other areas for free. It's free, but it's not free, if you know what I mean. So before I turn it over to Diane, let me just give her a quick introduction. So Diane McKeever has been a software trainer for over 30 years, has taught over 100,000 students in the US and Europe, working with corporate presidents as well as continuing education students. Every day she earns her title, which I can attest to, of certified patient person by teaching some of the most complex material in a fun, easy to understand way. More recently, she has expanded her business and become certified as a social media marketing professional. She has lectured extensively on the subject and has helped hundreds of businesses set up and use the powers of advertising available through social media. Diane's book, 100 Amazing Computer Tips, is available on Amazon.com. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Diane.
Well, it's my turn. Thank you, Doug. Welcome, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today's webinar presentation and get something out of it. I think it's a fascinating topic. Of course, I was successful in writing a book. And did I get it to boost my business? I did. But it helped in so many ways, subtle ways. If you have a book in you, I encourage you to go for it. Let's see. Become a writer, they said. It will be fun, they said. Keep this in mind when you are writing your book. It's not always fun, but it can be fun. And you should really make a project out of it. And I hope that you will enjoy the process. And for those of you who are actually written your book, congratulations. That is a hard project. but keep at it, start small, write your chapters, write the chapter headings, and then go from there. You don't have to do it sequentially. That's a wonderful thing about software, isn't it? That you can put in your chapter headings and then you can fill in the information as you go. So if you have written a book, congratulations. Let's see if we can get it published now. Part of this presentation is to talk to you about writing a book, and the other part is getting it published, because of course that is the other part of it. And then how is that going to help you build your business? This is perhaps an encouraging or discouraging statistic. Each year, between 500,000 and 1 million new book titles are published. This is why it can be difficult to go through the traditional way of publishing your book by finding an agent and having a publisher, finding they would help you find a publisher. But nonfiction books, which is what I think most of you would be writing, make up about 88% of this astronomical number. So there's a lot of competition out there. You have to, as with so many things, identify what makes you unique. In fact, when I published my book, which is now about more than 10 years ago, although it's still a valid book right now, computers haven't changed that much. I have to tell you, I've been using a computer since 1984, and they haven't changed a lot. The physical computer has changed, but how it works really hasn't. So when you're writing a book like this, you say, oh, technical information is probably out of date quickly. Not so much. It's something that took me a while to write, but it's still a viable book. Okay, so this was the premise of part of the premise of this webinar is, can a book help your business? And the answer is yes, with, of course, a huge caveat. But a book can help your business by the power of authority. A well-written book positions you as a thought leader in the industry. You build trust and credibility with potential clients. Well, how does that happen? Well, you can go on to places like LinkedIn and you can post excerpts from your book, and that will then let other people in your industry know that you know what you're talking about, and that can lead to further contact with them. They amplify your brand. They extend your reach beyond the traditional marketing channels, attracting new customers and expanding your brand awareness. Every time you post, every time you send out an email, your email signature should be your business card and include your book in it. It will then encourage people to look at your book, buy your book, and or download your book and read it, and it will amplify your brand beyond what you would expect. A strategically written and marketed book can nurture leads, educate prospects, and drive them towards your product or services. And you might say, well, if they bought my book, they don't really need to contact me to work with me. Not at all. By writing a book, it shows your level of expertise in the area, and then people will hire you to take that expertise and adapt it to their needs, because people aren't that good at taking a concept and changing it to strategically make it work for them. So it will generate leads and sales. Attract speaking engagements. Of course, this is the biggest fear in life, I think, is standing up and speaking in front of a group. I have spoken to huge groups, thousands of people, and you might get a little butterfly in the beginning, but once you get up there and start talking, it's really pretty easy. But your book acts as a calling card, and it will open doors to lucrative speaking engagements. Initially, you might go with free engagements. Maybe try the Chamber of Commerce or some local places to build up your confidence, to actually build up your speaking credentials. You might think about joining the local speaking group and testing out your pitch there until you feel comfortable. But once you do that, you can then be keynote speaker at conventions and again spread your brand. Once you're published, it's quite common to receive invitations from podcasters to speak about your book, and this will help further cement your credibility with your targeted audience. Sharing your story and insights through a book fosters deeper connections with your audience, creating a loyal customer base. They feel they get to know you because they have read your book and they've heard your voice. And it really does build a loyal community. It makes it easier for you to do your second book if you feel that you're up to that. So maybe keep some material aside for your second book that you can expand on. Once you have a following from your first book, it's much easier to sell your second book. It can increase your pricing power. Well, if people are wanting to see you and have you speak and so forth, your calendar is going to get filled up. Next thing you do is you raise your prices. So it will increase your pricing power and significantly increase your income without actually having to. There's only 365 days in your year, as is in mine. And so what you can do then is to take advantage of this and increase the amount that you were charging at these events. So now that hopefully you're encouraged to write your book, or perhaps you have already written it, but now that you've written your book, what should you think about before you even publish your book? So before we get ahead of ourselves, let's consider what goes into writing and selling a book, with the emphasis on selling. I've always said that the easiest part of getting a book published is writing it. And if you think writing a book is hard, well, publishing it and marketing it is even harder. I've told that to so many people, and they say, oh, it can't be that hard. I'm just going to publish a book, put it on Amazon, and then sit back. This will be passive income. One of my favorite terms, passive income. I don't know what business is actually passive income, but when you're writing your book, first thing you think about is, who is your audience? This is one of the first things that when I work with a client, I'll start with that. Who is your audience? That is going to help you make so many other decisions. For instance, how big will your book be? What is the physical size of your book? Is it an 8.5 by 11 like a workbook? Or is it going to be for younger adults? And so that would be a different size. Choosing the size of your book right away is actually a very important thing, because you're going to open up your Word document or whatever word processing program you're using. First thing you should do is set the size of the paper to the ultimate size of your book, so that you have an idea what that page is going to look like, and set your margins on that and choose your font. I love to do all of those things. And how large is your audience? What do you think the size of the potential for people buying your book is? If it's not very large, then you're going to have difficulty reaching them, and you may not achieve your goal. And lastly, how will you reach them? That's very important, because you actually want to plan the marketing strategy of your book before you even write it, before you even try and sell it. Because if you're going to be doing it, door to door, that's going to be a tough one. So what marketing strategy are you going to use? All of this must be thought about before you think about publishing your book, writing your book. Because what is the point of writing your book if you really have no end game in sight? How you're going to market it, where you're going to sell it. And it's got to be more than, I'll just put it on Amazon and people will find it, because I'm here to tell you that doesn't happen. As remember that figure between 500 and a million books being published each year, and many of them are on Amazon. It's a crowded world out there. Okay, so there's really three ways of getting your book published. One is the traditional publishing route, and we're going to talk about each of these more in detail. But the traditional publishing route is where you actually find an agent, and an agent will help you find a publisher, but the agent will work with you and put your book into shape. The next, of course, is self-publishing, and that's very popular. I actually help a lot of my clients do this. They will send me their transcript and I will make it look beautiful. I will choose the font for them or help them choose the font. I'll set up the document with the correct pagination, with the correct page numbers, and all of the technical things. And then we upload it to some of these self-publishing sites like Lulu. Or then there's a hybrid that you can actually pay someone to do all of the designing a book cover and do the editing for you and getting it published, putting it, uploading it to these sites and so forth. But we're going to break these three methods down a little bit more granular. So traditional publishing, who is this best for? An entrepreneur with a large audience, because the first thing that an agent is going to ask you is, what is your platform? And the word platform here that they use is, who is going to be buying your book? Who do you have around you? What kind of followers do you have? Do you have a blog? If you have a blog, well, how many hits do you get? Do you have a Facebook page for your business? If that's the case, how many people are following you? On Instagram, how many followers do you have? That's very important that you build up your audience actually before you even write your book, so that if you're planning on going the traditional way, in your proposal, you'll be able to say, here's my platform, here are the people that are going to buy it, here's the reach that I have. Are you an expert who does a lot of facilitation, speaking and travel? Are you out there in the public? Are you interested in bringing books with you, hauling books with you? You can often have them sent to the hotel in advance so that they're there. But one of the things that I do is speak on cruise ships. And I had a carton or two of books sent ahead to the cruise ship, and people bought the books as I was doing my presentations. Or if I'm teaching somewhere, I'll send a group of books ahead of time and sell the books at the event. Everyone who wants to be the go-to expert in the niche or expand the press or TV, is that you? If you want to be on the New York Times best-selling list, is that you? Then you want to go the traditional publishing route. And what does that entail? You first find an agent. There are websites dedicated to listings of agents. I want you to know that when I wrote my book, I sent out my book to about 77 agents, and I got 77 rejections on my book, and decided that that was not going to be viable. And keep in mind, this is more than 10 years ago, when things were a little bit easier than they are now. And I had found a site that listed all of the agents by genre. So you would find somebody who was interested or whose specialty was technical writing, and I would contact them and I would put together my proposal, because that's how you're going to find an agent. You put together a proposal. It is not unlike putting together a proposal for your business, because your book really is a variation on a business, isn't it? And it's going to include an outline, a chapter list, so that the agent can see your direction, how clear thinking you are. And it will help you determine whether you have enough stuff to put into a book. You don't want to start writing a book unless you know that you can fill it. It will include your bio, of course, and your promotion plan. What are you going to do to sell your book? Because even though an agent will help you publish your book and do some limited marketing, and if they help you find a publisher, if they get to find a publisher, the publisher will do some marketing, but it's always up to you. It is your project. It is up to you to market your book. If you think that you're not up to marketing your book or don't have the wherewithal to hire somebody to market your book, think again about writing it, because that is the most important part of getting your book sold. You'll put together the query, letter, and a sample chapter. Where do you look for agents, is Alan? Look on the website, look for websites that are directories of book agents. And you'll find that there's quite a few of them. You may have to pay for them these days. Back in the day, it was free, but you'll be able to search for them by genre. Once you find an agent, they will work with you to get your book in shape to then find a publisher. They will help you edit it, they will publish it and market it. So that is one of the ways of publishing your book, a traditional way. The next is self-publishing. Doesn't the publisher take most of the profit? That's part of the problem. Is it Faustine? Oh, Faustine, yes. I know you. That is part of the problem, is the publisher does take it. And if you're on Amazon, if you think that that is the way to go, Amazon will take quite a bit of the profit. But let's talk about self-publishing. It is best for memoirs. I've helped many people get their memoirs in shape and put in their pictures, and all they wanted was 50 copies to hand out to friends and family. And that's fine if that's all you wanted to do. It's a fun thing to do. It's a way of saying I am a published author, isn't it? And it's for niche markets or specific expertises that really are small. And it's also for odd formats like exceptionally long or short books. So that is a very popular way of doing it. I have used Lulu in the past. There are a lot of places that you could go. I found that to be very easy. I've also published using Amazon as the publisher, and they will do the print on demand. The benefits of it is that faster. Yes, faster to publication, because that method that I was talking about using the agents, your book can take between 2 and 3 years to have it published by the time you go through the entire process. A self-publishing route, well, we could have it by next Thursday if that's what you needed. But the problem with a self-publishing is that you don't have the checks and balances. You've written the book, you probably read the book over. Maybe your spouse read the book over, maybe your Aunt Sally read it over. They made a couple of editing changes to it or suggestions, but it may not be as beautiful as it should be. You have creative freedom. Nobody is telling you what you can and can't do. And there's a higher profit margin because you're not splitting that with a publisher. So absolutely, if you think you're going to get rich publishing a book, I think you need to rethink your strategy, because you're not going to get rich on your first book, and you may not get rich on your second book. It's down the line that you're actually making profit when you can find publishers who are willing to negotiate with you. The cons is it's a lot of work. Absolutely. You're designing the book cover, you're writing the page, you're formatting it, you are doing all of the marketing and distribution. It is a lot of work, but it can also be very rewarding for your business. So that's a way to go. And then the hybrid is for people who don't want to pursue the traditional deal, that dealing with the agents is often difficult, and you have money to invest for professional results. That the hybrid is going to take your manuscript, look at it, work it over, send it to a professional editor, and have a professional editor who's not just looking for typos and homophones, the wrong word, words that are sound alike but are spelled differently, and you use the wrong weather in your document. They're not looking for that. A real editor is looking to say, I would move this chapter to this section and this paragraph up here. They're going to be doing a much deeper dive into your document. So here's kind of an overview of the three methods, the pros and the cons of traditional, validation and prestige. Absolutely. Professional editing design, distribution networks, and advanced payments. But we had a woman give a presentation recently. She actually was an agent and said that what you will pay the agent is equal to what the publisher will give you as an advance. So don't count on an advance as being money in your pocket. It's money in somebody's pocket, perhaps not yours. And again, the cons are it's a competitive process. It can take you a long time to find that agent that believes in you, that thinks that your story is compelling enough to back it and find a publisher for you. Loss of creative control when the editor says you're going to be making these changes. By golly, you're going to be making those changes because they won't publish it unless. Lower royalties, slower timeline. Remember, I talked about 2 or 3 years potentially before a book is published using a traditional publishing method. Self-publishing, you have complete creative control. That's a pro and a con, isn't it? That you have complete creative control. Higher potential royalties because you're not sharing them with anyone. Flexible turnaround time. You can have that book published and ready to go within weeks rather than years. Flexible pricing. You choose the pricing. You choose the distribution network that you're going to be using. Your financial risk is whatever you pay for the books. And you'll note that when you go to a Lulu or any of those self-publishing sites, they'll say, as you're creating your book, here's the number of pages, here's the book size. Once you give it all of the information, they'll say, this is what it's going to cost to print your book. What do you want to charge for your book? And you'll be able to put in a price for it. They can help you with the distribution also. So there's a financial risk, but it's very small. You have the burden of marketing, but as I said, using any of these three methods, you have the primary burden for marketing. Marketing is up to you. It is your book. There's a lower distribution potential. The distribution potential is what you make of it. Who do you know? How are you going to be peddling it? And it could have a lack of professional polish. For sure, I have seen some books. I was looking through my husband's bookcase recently, and I took out a little book and I thought, oh my gosh, this was self-published. I just know it because they chose an awful font. It was very tight. The leading, which is the white space between each line of text, the leading was so tight, the font was so awful that I didn't even want to read the book. I put it down, one of those, whoa, let me get out of this book before it offends me anymore. The hybrid, and this is actually the route that I went 10 years ago. I worked with a publisher here in Sarasota that I found to be amazing to work with, and I didn't find it to be that expensive. However, I have to tell you that I gave them the finished product. I worked with an editor that I found, a retired editor from one of the big publishing houses, and she read my book and did the editing on it. I did the formatting for the book so that it was ready to go. I designed the cover. So there was a lot of things that I brought to the table. What they did was help me get it to the proper channels and get it published. So the hybrid combines really the benefits of both methods in that you have more control over it, but it's going to look like a professional document. You can get it faster to publication because you're not diddling around with back and forth between your publisher and yourself. And there's a moderate financial risk. Yes, you will have to lay out money, but you'll have a better product at the end of it. The con is less control than self-publishing to an extent, yes. May not fully offer full marketing and distribution support. They don't often. That's something that is an add-on, something that you could pay for additionally if you're not gifted in marketing. All I want to say is AI. Anybody who knows me and knows that I am really high on AI these days, because I'll go in and I'll ask artificial intelligence to help me with marketing, to come up with a marketing strategy, to actually even come up with the updates that I would be using on LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever it is that I'm going to put this. And finding a reputable hybrid publisher can be challenging. Finding anybody reputable these days on the internet is challenging, isn't it? Because there's so many scams out there. It's just almost frightening how many people are looking to help separate you from your money. So think about that. Think about whether the traditional publishing is the way to go. Do you actually have the following? Do you have are you going to have global enough interest in your book that it can be a New York Times bestseller? If you do, great. I think most of us, however, don't have that expanse of area in order for you to do that. You've got to think about which of these three methods is the best fit for you and what you're willing to pay for and what you're willing to give up, because nothing in life is free and everything has pluses and minuses. So this is, I want to encourage you to think about beginning marketing your book months before the publication date. So you're writing your book now, let's say, and you anticipate that it's going to be published by September. Well, certainly by May, 3 or 4 months in advance, you start touting your book and start putting excerpts from the book that will come out in September. Start putting excerpts in LinkedIn if that's appropriate for your audience. Join LinkedIn groups that are appropriate and post there. Start to build up your credibility before your book even comes out. My book was a result of a blog that I wrote. I wrote a blog called 100 Computer Tips in 100 Days. It was a bad concept. Well, from a time point of view, it was a bad concept because it turned out during those 100 days we moved from Connecticut to Florida, and I still was committed to posting one post a day for 100 days. And so that was really the beginning of it. And once I finished the 100 posts, I thought, well, this might make an interesting book. And by then, because I was posting those on my blog, sharing that on my Facebook page, sharing that on my LinkedIn page, I had developed a following. So that when my book finally came out, I was able to say, ta-da, here it is, ready to go. Now you can buy it. Now it's available on Amazon, and that then encouraged the surge of orders. So think about setting up your book in advance. You can even do that if possible. It might be possible for you to do that on Amazon without actually having your book. A little tricky, but you might be able to do it. But you definitely want to let people know that you are going to be releasing this book. If you have email addresses, you know that that's golden. And so I wouldn't email them daily. I would email them weekly. I would put together 7 of the posts and then email that to them. Now, you might again say, but you're giving them the contents of your book. Why are they going to buy your book? Well, they're going to buy your book because it's a much more convenient place to look at these tips rather than the series of emails that I sent over time. It's so much easier for them to thumb through the index and find that that Excel tip is on page 42 of the book, and now bookmark it. I designed my book in such a way that the left page was always left blank so that they could write their own notes there as to what the topic was, so they could annotate the book. You can't so much annotate your emails. So that's why I thought that this was a good way of doing it. So the day that my book got published and I let everybody know that it was published, it's great. Now people are buying it, and the first day was just euphoric. It was really quite fun. So you need to begin thinking about marketing your book a few months in advance. You want to optimize your website. You want to make sure that it is ready for people to go there and read more about your book and then to go to Amazon. So you want to be sure you have clear clicks. You can put in pay-per-click ads. That always gets me. Pay-per-click ads on Google to get people attracted to it. Social media ads, LinkedIn connections. It will build on itself, and your entire lead network will build because of your book. So building a large audience will result in more attention to you and your expertise and your knowledge, and getting jobs, right? More leads for the kind of clients that you're looking for, more clients, and all of that leads up to more revenue, and all of that leads to success. However you define success. And that should be something that you think about in advance. What are you hoping to get out of this publishing of the book? How much do you hope that it will increase your business? And that should be monitored on a lovely Excel spreadsheet. And don't get me started about lovely Excel spreadsheets. We could be here for another 2 hours or 6, depending upon how we get into that. But think about what you want to get out of the publication of your book and whether it is worth the effort that you're going to put in, because it is an effort. Did I mention that? Writing the book is the easy part. After that, it's a lot of work, and it may cost you depending upon what your goals are. So how can you advance your book? Well, of course, an email list. I love email lists because it's very inexpensive reaching people via email. So start gathering email addresses that you might use in this. Social media, of course, but not all social media. Think about where your target audience is. Are they the professionals on LinkedIn? If they are, then don't bother spending money on Facebook. A client just flashed through my mind who was complaining that they spend so much time, so much money actually, advertising on Facebook. And I said, well, why are you even on Facebook? Your audience isn't there. Oh, really? I hadn't really thought about that. You might want to put together media or press packages to let the press know. Get some information, some articles in your local newspaper. They have to fill up their pages every day. They're happy to hear from you. Give away free content. Yes, you do want to give away free content. Here is information from my book. Or it could be in my book, I had tip cards, cards that, if you only wanted to do a mail merge, for instance, there's a tip card in my book on how to do a mail merge, step by step doing a mail merge. Well, I gave that away free on my website and to different people on my email and on my social media. I gave that away free. Why would you give away something for free? Because they would give me their email addresses if I gave them free content. Using the sales funnel, trying to identify what you need to do to get somebody into the funnel and then how to scoop them down. Working with network influencers. In my case, are there people out there who are technical bloggers? Okay, if there are, can I find them? Can I reach them? Can I give them something free? I'll send them a copy of my book. It only cost me $5 plus shipping. I can get much more out of that if they were to write a review or talk about it. Speaking engagement's the same thing. Using education or corporate buys. I mean, this is depending upon the topic that you're writing about. Is it a place to go to talk to corporations, be keynote speakers, and so forth? All right. So, excuse me. I couldn't get out of here without talking about AI. My favorite at this moment is Gemini, but I know ChatGPT is very a favorite of places, and whatever you use is fine. But if you want to leverage your existing platform, if you have a website, a blog, or social media presence related to your business, use it to promote your book. This could involve blog posts about relevant topics from the book, excerpts, announcements, book trailers, and reader Q&A sessions. Build an email list. Create an email list for your business. Use it to keep subscribers informed and engaged about your book launch, and share exclusive content and offer promotions. Using your social media strategically. Choose the social media platforms where your target audience is most active and create engaging content promoting your book. Run social media contests, host live Q&A sessions, and collaborate with relevant influencers. Join online communities. If you're on LinkedIn or Facebook, you want to join groups so that you can let them know about your upcoming book or your published book. Pitch your book to relevant industry publications, blogs, and websites. Offer to be a guest post on related topics or interviews about your experience and the book content. Consider using social media advertising or pay-per-click advertising. Host a book launch event, whether it be virtual or in person, and partner with your local bookstore or library or business organization to host an event. Your Chamber of Commerce might be willing to help you try and promote your book. Provide free chapters or excerpts from your book to entice readers, to give them a taste of your content, to see how your writing style, to see the content of the book that you're writing, whether it's worth buying. It's very good publicity to do that. Organize contests or giveaways on your social media. I'm going to give a free book to the 4th person or the 12th person that will comment. Comments on social media are so much more important than likes and, thumbs up and hearts and so forth. It is so much more important to have comments. So give a free book to the 12th person that comments on your post. Partner with other businesses in your industry to cross-promote your book. Is there any symbiotic relationship that you would have with another organization? See if you can offer discounts or bundles that come with their products or services. Remember, the key to successfully promoting your book is to be creative and strategic and consistent in your efforts. and experiment and track your results. See what works and what doesn't work. I mean, there's no point in giving away a free book if that didn't really cause more purchases of your book, right? That's a pretty logical thing. So I'm assuming you're rookies, and here's some rookie mistakes to avoid. Rushing to publish. As I said, if you're going to publish it yourself, you can get that book up and running in no time, but that might not be the best thing. Put the book down, come back to it in a month or two, reread the whole thing. I bet you're going to have a different point of view on it. I know that one of the most frustrating, wonderful things is that when I'm writing anything, whether it be an article or a post or a book, I at 3 or 4 in the morning have my best creative time and think, oh, why did I put it that way? Why did I say it that way? I think I'll change that. So don't just write it and get it to the publisher, because you'll regret it. My husband wrote his memoir a few years ago, and he rushed it to publish. And then he has since rewritten it. It's now twice as long, and he's sorry that he didn't put in more of this information. So take your time writing your book. Make sure that you're happy with it. Take your time developing the cover. Does the cover really say what you want it to? Is that even the title that you want it to have? So be thoughtful about this. Don't rush to publish. If you don't build your audience ahead of time, you're making a big mistake, because then you'll have it out there and you'll say, now I'm ready to go. And your audience will say, what's happening? You wrote a book? I didn't know that. What's it about? Well, all of that pre-conversation can happen before your book gets published. And think that you must be everywhere and get a million bajillion followers to get a book deal. Well, you need a lot of followers to get a book deal, but not quite a million bajillion, whatever that number is. But do think about who your target audience is. And you don't want to write the whole book first. You actually want to write it in sections and think about those sections and think about those chapters and how do they relate to the other chapters, because you want cliffhangers at the end of a chapter to get people to continue reading, and you want people to review it positively. So you don't want to necessarily write the whole book first and then have it out there. Okay, so lastly, if the artist did not know his goal, even the most miraculous of tools could not find it for him. I don't know, maybe this is a little obtuse, but know what your goal is before you write your book, and then the rest will fall in place if you're willing to do the work. Start with a goal in mind. Every decision after that will be easy. The title, the cover design, the chapters, the marketing, all of that will fall in place if you have a goal in mind. If you're just going to do it willy-nilly, it's going to be hard. So with that, Doug, I see you're still hanging around. You haven't left.
Nope, I am still here, and we would welcome any questions you might have. Please ask now on chat or in Q&A. Also want to encourage you again to visit score.org/Minnesota. Great information. Also, you can request a mentor and that can help you as you build your business. And we got a question in chat.
Okay. Any experience or advice for dealing with a ghostwriter, or is that a separate webinar? You could actually use AI as a ghostwriter, couldn't you? That you could just put in the premise of your book and say, I need 100 pages on this, and that would work. Finding a ghostwriter, finding anything on the internet these days is very difficult because there's a lot of scammers out there. But certainly you could work with a ghostwriter if you feel that that's a way to do it. I probably, if I were going to do that, would try and find somebody more locally than on the internet. Somebody that I could work with in person who could take my words and wordsmith them. One thing about the AI and writing your book, or even some people might think about uploading their completed book to AI for review, for editing. Be very careful about that, because things that you upload to AI becomes part of AI's intelligence. So your thoughts, your information could now be something that's being distributed to the world via AI, and that may not be exactly what you want.
Question in Q&A from Judith. Is there an AI tool to help design a cover?
Oh, sure. Not only AI, in fact, there's a lot of ways that you can design your cover. Canva is a great way to do it. Once you know your book size, you can go into Canva and they will help you design a cover. In fact, many of the Lulu, I think they're not doing it any longer. They used to partner with Canva, that you would upload the contents of your book, and then the next step was to design a book cover. But a book cover should be something that you, again, give some thought to, because you're going to have an excerpt, or you're going to have that grabber on the back of the book, right? Because once you upload your book, the back will be available on Amazon as well as the front. You want people to have a caption, have an idea of what your book is about and whether it's going to help them, how it's going to help them. So you want to spend a lot of time thinking about that. When you're working with a hybrid publisher, they will help you. I often design the covers for my clients. I charge a few $100s to review your book and to upload it and to design a cover. It can be a simple process. In fact, I did want to, if I could, upload my my email address to the chat if you wanted to talk further about working on your book. There we go. And lastly, if I've made you interested in my book, I'm pasting the link to Amazon if you're interested in buying my book. So either of those. It doesn't cost anything to chat with me relative to your book as to the best way to get it published or what I thought about it. Don't send me the whole book. Please don't send me the whole book as an attachment. Let's talk first, and we can see whether or not that's something that would interest you.
A couple more questions in chat, Diane. Dr. C, can you clarify a little more how you use AI? Are you concerned about copyright?
Relative to, am I concerned about copyright? Well, anything that you get from AI cannot be copyrighted, because it is not your original thought. It's the original thought of AI, whoever that is, whatever that is. So it cannot be copyrighted. I'm concerned about if I were to upload my thoughts, that now it's part of the AI intelligence and can be fed back to other people who are looking for something like that. Discuss the average cost of an agent. An agent is thousands of dollars. I don't know how many thousands of dollars it is. It really depends upon the agent. That's a conversation that you have with your agent. And it also will depend upon how long your document is, your book is, and how much work it needs. What if you just want to self-publish an ebook? Sure. The same thing. You can upload that to Amazon and have it published in the hour. Write a little excerpt about it, write a little publicity, and absolutely you can have your ebook published. Of course, you're charging less for it, but there's less involved in it, right? You don't have a physical book that gets printed. So very easy to do using Amazon, which is probably the way you want to go to get the best distribution. They take about 40% of the selling price of the book of the book. So be prepared that you did all the work and they're getting much of the money.
Diane, I think your share screen is blocking the next slide.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Any other questions, please let us know. Also, we would love to have your survey results. I think Diane did a great job. We'd love to get your feedback. Also, are there other topics that you would be interested in us providing in these webinars? So please let us know those.
Wonderful. Well, this was great. I hope you all found it to be informative. I hope you were inspired to go write your book and not discouraged. It's just, can you get a copy of the chat? Cannot copy. We could actually send you the chat. Yep, absolutely. We can send you the chat. Good. Okay. Thank you. I hope you all found it to be informative. So
Thanks,
take it away,
everyone.
Doug.
Thanks for joining us. This will be the end of our webinar for today. Goodbye.
Bye.